Okay, so I just want to chime in with my thoughts on this whole AI singularity thing. We've got all kinds of hysteria and hand-wringing and, fainting on the couch Victorian style with the smelling salts about the so-called singularity where they're saying that artificial intelligence and by extension just in general computer processing power is likely to overtake human intelligence in the near future. That's the gist of it. Now, of course, if you're having these guys like Stephen Hawking and other giants, captains, if you will, of the scientific community and other intellectuals doing this hand wringing, you'd think there was something to it, but I beg to differ, and I'm here to refute this nonsense about the well, okay, let me just say, there may indeed be a quote-unquote singularity. Maybe there's going to be a point when AI is able to do some things, quote-unquote, better than the human brain. But that's as far as I'll take it. That doesn't mean dick to me, because right now a calculator, for example, can calculate complex numbers much faster than you can. Does that mean it's smarter than you? Of course not. So what they're basically saying if that processing speed and memory capacity will continue to increase exponentially to the point where these things will be able to think, quote unquote, so fast that they'll overtake us intellectually. But I digress, as I said. If this quote unquote singularity happens, if processing power goes to these levels they're talking about, it doesn't matter. That does not. Fast processing power and memory capacity and data capacity does not intelligence make. And that is the basic argument I'm making. I've read through all of this. I've seen all the interviews, and they always make this point very subtly, and they swoop right past it as if you're not going to go, oh, what do you mean? Wait a minute, hold on a second, and make them specify. No, they always generalize and say that AI is going to be more intelligent. And then as evidence, they cite processing speed and memory capacity, and that's all they ever cite. And yes, AI has a different dimension to it because it's not just those two things. AI is a whole thing, and I'm not here to go into it, and I'm not even myself an expert on it. But when you get right down to it, AI is still the programming that goes into it, the algorithms that go into it, and it doesn't matter to me, and I'm still making the argument that as complex as that may be, it is never going to reach the level of intellect, I guess, for lack of a better term, of the human brain. The fact of the matter is, we don't know shit about the human brain to this day. And so that in and of itself, the fact that we're very, very ignorant of the inner workings of the brain and where brain becomes mind and the whole thing of consciousness, we're so ignorant in these areas that it's really, that alone should completely dismiss this entire thing, because we're reaching conclusions where we don't even have enough data to reach conclusions. They're saying that this AI is going to be smarter. You don't even know what smart is, dumbass. No pun intended. But seriously, they're defining human intelligence in these very narrow terms, and they don't bother mentioning things that are intangibles. Things like love and humor and artistic ability and music, and like I said, the whole thing of consciousness. And there are so many dimensions to the human experience that it's almost kind of laughable that they would be hand-wringing like this. So what if you come up with a super calculator and it can figure out pi down to the fucking pi degree? So what? It's not going to be able to answer simple questions like, why are we here? What is the meaning of life? What is love? And of course, critics of what I'm saying will say, well, of course it will, because they'll approach it like the dumb scientists, no pun intended, who are taking this position And it's always based on a reductionist argument, a Descartes or a Cartesian view of the universe that says everything is really just a mechanism, a clockwork. And right down it, and if you get all the way down to it, everything's just a machine, a construct. And as such, it follows certain rules, and things like love and emotion and all that silly stuff is just nothing but a bunch of chemicals, neurons and interactions of molecules and atoms, and that's all it is. And it's just our perception of it that gives it any kind of meaning. Well, first of all, that in and of itself is an argument that can't be supported by facts or evidence. It's just a subjective argument, just like any other. In other words, it's a faith-based argument. Because nobody can measure this shit, people. It's too fucking complicated. Here's the thing. The fact that we don't know shit about our own mind, think about that. The mind is so complex, it doesn't even understand itself. But yet we're going ahead and staking our position out and saying for sure AI is going to overtake us and we're going to be, taken over by robots and they're going to be, looking at us like amoebas and so forth. It'll never happen. It'll never happen. And I think it's funny too that we ascribe human psychological motives to these so-called super machines of the future. I mean, I'm getting the Terminator scenes in my mind. Look at all these people. They're hand-wringing. Elon Musk, Nick Bostrom. And I'm sad about Nick Bostrom. This is the guy that really changed my life with his new theory. I say new, it's several years old now, a couple decades old. Information theory, essentially. But this, once machines surpass human life, that's because he's basing his entire worldview on a type of reductionist Cartesian argument that everything, our entire reality is an artificial virtual reality. And I'm not even opposed to that idea. I think there's something to it. But I still don't ascribe this soulless mechanical foundation to it like these people do. And it really is funny, Intelligence is a very complex thing. I mean, it's just too complex. And all of these yahoos raising a fuss, it's just, I really wish that people like this would pay attention to their station and withhold making these blanket statements, knowing that many people out there who are ignorant will think, well, if Stephen Hawking says it, it must be true. I'm not saying that anyone listening to this is that way, but let's face it, there's a lot of unwashed masses out there that don't know shit, and it's their own goddamn fault. They didn't get up off the fucking couch and go fucking look shit up. That's not my fault. They allow, it's those kind of people that allow the world to be handed to them, and through whatever filter the person handing it to them put it through, and they're cool with that. Well, I'm not. I do what's called independent thinking, and look at this, the singularity. An event which an upgradable intelligent agent, such as a computer running software-based artificial general intelligence, enters a runaway reaction of self-improvement cycles, with each new and more intelligent generation appearing more and more rapidly, causing an intelligence explosion and resulting in a powerful superintelligence whose cognitive abilities could be qualitatively as far above humans as human intelligence is above ape. Now, this is funny, qualitatively. Impossible to measure. Absolutely impossible. Completely subjective, but they're going to put it in there like it's scientific. Now, quantitatively, I would see that. I can see that. Yeah, it's a calculator. So, artificial general intelligence. Yeah, let's look that up. So, first of all, it's hypothetical. Our AI isn't even close. So could successfully, even with quantum computers, which we can barely do simple calculations with our most advanced quantum computers, they still can't do shit. But this is a a dream machine apparently that could, not would, not will, could successfully perform any intellectual task that a human being can. Any intellectual task. Any intellectual task. Even if you bought that general, super wide definition, intellectual is the key, because that's only part of human intelligence, isn't it? They're not even counting emotional and other things. It's intuitive and strong AI, full AI. General is the ability of a machine to perform general intelligent action, but no definition of that, of course. Okay, so it can solve puzzles and make judgments under uncertainty, represent common sense knowledge, plan, learn, communicate in natural language. Okay, big deal. Can it tell a joke and understand what it's saying? Can it make up a joke? Can it laugh at a joke? I don't think so. So anyway, people, that's my rant, and I'm sticking to it. Don't worry about the so-called singularity. Ray Kurzweil, kiss my ass. You're just a fear monger because you have money to make off of it. And you're basically a humanist who hates humans, so it's sad and unfortunate. Anyway, peace out, bitches.